session. You can share with anybody who did not join. So, okay, very good. So I think I can go ahead and kind of talk a little bit about what you can do, and we can um, 1 second. Let me. Okay. Very good. So, okay, so very good. So, okay, so let me give you a little bit background about the topic that we have, which is like a sales positions or kind of an account executive or sort of customer dealing or getting new business. A lot of these can be covered in the same thing. So before that, just to give you an idea, if somebody of you might be new to Salesforce and some of you already have a couple of certifications, so you know the system, but it's still just for as a high level background. Let's talk about what Salesforce does and what is the ecosystem comprised of. And specifically, we're not talking about the functionality point of view. That we can talk maybe some other sessions, or if you can review some of my YouTube videos, you can able to get understanding. But today we're just going to talk about a little bit more in terms of different roles, and obviously how this sales piece that I'm kind of pitching today kind of be a new way of thinking. If it is something for you, you can get it. So again, Salesforce ecosystem comprised of a software which is used as a CRM system, which is customer relationship database, meaning any business who is working with customers, they want to store their data into a software so that they can able to understand what their customers are buying, what their customers are engaged with, how many customers they have, what are their revenues, and use that data in multiple ways in future. So for example, let's talk a very simple, let's say there's a restaurant, right? And that restaurant obviously have different customers coming in. Most of the restaurant, in a typical scenario, they don't have any CRM system, meaning they are not recording their information about their clients. So when clients comes to the counter, they ask their payment, they give the payment, and that's it, and they gone. So now they don't have any data, meaning they don't know what was the name of the person. They don't have any information on them, meaning they don't have any phone number or email address. And if that person comes back again second time, they have no means to understand and add that business value to that. So for example, if you are running a restaurant and you have a CRM system that in place, where you can tag every customer, and then you can have like a sort of a key which can recognize, which could be a name, an email address, a phone number, or of some sort. Then if you can able to run a report on a monthly, weekly, yearly basis, you can able to see, okay, how many customers do we have this past year? What are the names of those customers? If you're collecting, let's say, email address, what are their email addresses? Then moving forward, you can see, okay, what kind of customers are our repeat customers? What are their average spend? Then you can able to use that data to improve your services. That's number one. You can use that data to target those customers. We have a couple of people who mentioned they have like a marketing, or everybody knows about marketing. You can use that data for the marketing purposes. You can send them some coupons, you can send them invites, you can use that data to send them their, if you have any other information on them, you can send them their interest. For example, if you can see a data, and if you are running a restaurant and you see that there are people who normally comes on weekend and they have, let's say, come multiple times in the past, you can basically create a program for people who actually comes during weekends, and then you can give them either a discount, or maybe you can offer some special dishes, or whatever that may be, right? So you can use that data very, very wisely, and you can increase your sales, and you can increase the productivity of your system. So I gave you example of this, but think of this as any business, either it's a healthcare, financial, e-commerce, manufacturing, whatever that thing, as long as you have customers, you should be saving that data somehow. On a very simple note, you can save that data into an Excel sheet, but because Excel sheet is very basic, and you cannot, if you have multiple people, if you want to record multiple things, you can sometimes able to just delete that data accidentally, or you cannot really cater that data. It cannot be connected to different automated systems and whatnot. So that's where Salesforce comes in, and Salesforce can be utilized for a very small business with one person who is managing everything, to a business where you have 300,000 or plus employees. As an example, I personally have so many clients who we call them SMB, which is small and medium sized businesses. And a lot of those businesses comprised of small clinics, small insurance agencies, different merchants, different businesses who do a lot of different accounting services, even e-commerce businesses, you name it. Then we have a lot of customers who are called themselves non-profits. So they collect a lot of data uh, for their donors, different programs that they're running, different people they're helping. They have different person who are helping them as uh, providing different services, collecting different things, doing a lot of different services. So they're now able to collect a lot of these things into Salesforce, right? And then they can reuse it, as I said, for marketing purposes, for their data records, for improving their services, for accounting, for so many reasons. So one thing is, at least everybody, either they're small business, nonprofit, mid-sized business, enterprise level, government sector, you don't need to convince anybody that they need some sort of system. So everybody now know that, especially after pandemic, because a lot of businesses were running online, people were not going to office, so they need to adapt some sort of system, even if it is a Google sheet or an Excel sheet. So everybody knows that they need something. So first of all, when you think about sales, you need to think about if there is a need for the product that you are even thinking about, right? So for example, if you want to sell if you want to get into a sales of a car business, you need to understand if people need a car or not. As an example, if you live in US, and if you live in, for example, in downtown New York City, in New York City, or let's say you live in London, like main city London, or in Chicago, main city, downtown Chicago, and your work is also somewhere close by, and you live in that case, not a lot of people really need a car, because all of these cities that I mentioned, they have a very good subway system. They also have a very good bus system, and they can basically literally able to go anywhere utilizing those public services, public service transportations. So it means that in that particular area, if you're a car dealer, you might have some challenges selling that car, because there is a need, but the need is not as much. A lot of people can still able to go by without utilizing them because they have an alternate. But if we talk about, if you live in somewhere in Texas, or you live in somewhere Arizona, or maybe in Florida, a lot of these cities, first of all, they do not have a train system or a subway system. Second of all, they may have some bus system, but they do not run on a very frequent basis. And if you want to go from one place to another, most of the places are pretty far from each other, which literally means that if you have as many number of adults in a household, and if somebody's going to school, somebody's going to work, XYZ, pretty much they all need some sort of vehicle to do that. So it means that you have more opportunities to sell cars in those areas, because pretty much everybody has a basic need. Without that, they cannot really move around. So it means that there's a good need, and then there's a good business case. Now, coming back to Salesforce, we need to see if you want to get engaged into Salesforce. And we are obviously talking today a little bit more about sales and account executive positions. That first of all, you need to understand that, is there a need for Salesforce? Do people buy Salesforce? Why would they buy Salesforce? Why would they spend that kind of money? And what is the benefit for them? So in short, there is a big need, because everybody recognized during the pandemic that there's a big, huge need of CRM systems that they need to deploy, so that they can work online, they can work offline, and they can able to get marketing service through that and whatnot. So in simple words, you can able to get the value that yes, Salesforce is a good tool, and probably you already know the ecosystem, how big it becomes. So there's a big need, there's a big system. Now let's talk about what is the kind of a process that Salesforce work. So there are, first of all, two parties engage in Salesforce. One, if somebody wants to deploy a Salesforce, first of all, they need a license. So the license is something that they need for the number of people that they want to use Salesforce. So if, let's say, if there's a small business who have 10 people team, and everybody is somehow related to the data, and they need to add a data, view the data, utilize the data, then at the end of the day, they need minimum 10 licenses, because technically you should not be sharing your licenses, because then you cannot able to know who have done what. So for example, if we have different people, they log in using the same, their own credentials, then they update something, then you can able to track who update what, and then you cannot overriding each other information, but otherwise you don't know who have done what. So first of all, it means that you need the number of license based on how many people will be using the system. So that's number one. So the license piece is always provided by Salesforce. So for example, if there's a company ABC who is interested in deploying Salesforce, so they need the licenses, and for that, they need the licenses from Salesforce. And there are, again, multiple tier of licenses. We're not getting into the detail, but there are a lot of different types of licenses that they can utilize. So you need to go to the Salesforce, get the license. But once you get the license, in order to set up the Salesforce, because the Salesforce does come sort of a solution, but it does not have everything set up based on a particular business need, meaning that you need to customize the system based on how this particular business will be utilized. So one challenge that pretty much every company has, and especially for SMBs, is it's not a cookie cutter solution, meaning it's not you can get the license, you can put the information, and you can just start using it. You need to do a little bit of customization so that you can have your business process embedded in Salesforce, and then you can start using it. In order to do the customization, typically Salesforce do not provide that services, and they refer to their partners. So as I also ran a partnership with Salesforce called Unboxx Technology. So we are one of multi-thousand partners of Salesforce who actually being engaged in order to work directly with the client. And then we have teams who have business analysts, admins, developers, architects, data analytics, data developers, and whatnot. And then we come over and we charge one-time fee in order to set up their system. So we just go in there, we understand what they need. Based on that, we set up the Salesforce, change it, add whatever we need to do, and make it ready for their team to start using it, provide training to their team, and then they start using it, and then they're good to go. So that's one-time fee, which is called implementation. So we have license cost, then we have implementation. As I mentioned, the implementation is done by Salesforce partner, so that's a separate entity. They just need to pay one time for doing the implementation. And so whenever somebody wants to do a Salesforce implementation or start using Salesforce, they will get two type of fees. One is they need to pay a license fee, which is consistent. So usually Salesforce charge a yearly fee, but they can pay it quarterly, or they can pay half yearly or yearly, whatever, but they normally charge you a yearly fee. So let's say if you have 10 licenses, each license costs you, $100. So you have 10 people, so it's like $1,000 a month, and then they will end up paying for 12 months, like $12,000 just for the licensing cost, right? And then they need to pay one-time fee for the actual implementation. Let's say there's a project, let's say the fee comes out to be $10,000. So that's an implementation fee, but that $10,000 only for one time. So together they will be paying $22,000 for their first time full setup, implemented, 1 year of licensing fee, and ready to start using Salesforce. So this is what any company need. Again, the price may change based on the license type, based on the implementation, and so on and so forth. But this is what they need in order to get into a Salesforce ecosystem and implement it for their company. Any questions so far?
It is clear. I was looking for this picture of businesses, because now I get the clear picture, because it wasn't clear for me, honestly, because the other companies buy the license from Salesforce, and then the Salesforce partners or consulting companies do the implementation. That's how they take. Just This is really amazing. Thank you.
Okay, very good, very good. So now getting into a little bit more next step is it means that as a person, as you or as a consultant or as somebody who's trying to get into Salesforce, sales piece of it, right? Um, what can you do, right? So there are now, first of all, two areas, right? So now your horizon is expanded. So either if you can get a position with Salesforce, so you can go as a salesperson, and they normally call their salespeople as a BDR. So I'm just throwing some terminology also. So when you see those terminology, you understand what it means. So BDR is business development resource, right? So BDRs, I may be mistaken, but this is what I think that it's called. So they are like they are business development. This is sort of a starting position. So you start from as a BDR, which is basically work with the clients, trying to get clients and things of that nature, and then run some data, reach out to the client. But it's also like a sales position, right? But you are starting, you're learning a lot. Once you become a little bit mature and you understand how to talk to the customer, you understand about the platform, you understand the pricing, you understand the different verticals, whatnot, then you promote it to something called account executive. So one thing you all can do if you're interested is try to see if you can find a couple of people in Salesforce, and they typically work in Salesforce for Salesforce directly. So they may be Salesforce directly full-time employee, or they may be Salesforce contractor, but directly working for Salesforce because they're selling the licenses. So what are they selling? They're selling licenses, not services, licenses, like a hardware. So this is like a product company. So Salesforce itself is a product company. What product they're selling? They're selling Salesforce, and within the product itself, what they have to sell is they have to sell the licenses. And in terms of licenses, they have about, give or take, 25 to 30 different type of clouds. So they can sell, or if you are working as a Salesforce BDR or account executive, you are basically have all of these 25 or 30 cloud licenses that you can sell, right? That's the main thing that they're selling. So if somebody is from nonprofit and they are want to get into, you can, if you have the knowledge, you know that, okay, they need this particular cloud called NPSP, which is dedicated for nonprofit. You can say, hey, okay, you are nonprofit. Okay, so you need this NPSP cloud. Now you are working with a company who actually do different types of B2B business, right? Uh, you will understand, okay, you need a system that can contain all your customer data. Okay, so what they need a sales cloud license. Okay, so now so you will start learning about different clouds that you can sell, right? So you can learn about your different products that you can sell. So now you know that, okay, I can sell them sales cloud. Now, the same company says, okay, you know what? We are collecting all the data, we are updating everything. Now we have all the information about all of our clients, but we also want to do them servicing, meaning that if somebody buy a product from us and if they have any issues, they can open up a ticket with us, like a service ticket. Do you have any cloud that can take care of it? So Salesforce again has another cloud called Service Cloud that can pretty much design in a business process that can cater service businesses. So now now you can sell the same client another type of license, which is Service Cloud. However, keep in mind, whenever you're selling the license, it's not just one license they buy, but if 10 people are using the Salesforce instance, then now they need to buy 10 licenses of Service Cloud as well. They previously bought 10 licenses of Sales Cloud, right? So now as a salesperson, as a BDR or account executive, whatever you are, now you sell them 20 license altogether, 10 for sales, 10 for service. They do it. And again, you said, hey, we have this company Unboxx who's pretty good. We work with them. Do you want to see if they can be your partner? Or you can able to find any partner from our marketplace. But usually what happens is when somebody is buying a license from Salesforce, they also ask Salesforce, do you recommend a partner that we can use for the implementation? And if you have a close relationship with Salesforce and you're working with Salesforce, done multiple projects, have a good feedback from the clients, they can also refer 2 or 3 partners that they think are really good and they can be beneficial. So they will recommend, but as a Salesforce salesperson or BDR AE, you sell now 20 licenses. In Salesforce or any other business, the salespersons, again, both BDR and AE, they have 2 ways how they can make money, because you need to understand how would you make money, right? So it's one of the unique areas where in most of the cases, again, it's not 100%, but I would say in most of the cases, the salary is divided into 2 pieces. One is your base salary, which is typically a little bit lower comparatively to other areas of expertise, but then you have a commission on top of it, which means that you can have a different numbers. Every business has different percentages, and that also depends on a lot of other things. But just as an example, let's say they're paying you 3% commission. So let's say you sell 20 license to a client, and that can cost, let's say, to them yearly 20 grand. And let's say they said they can pay you, let's say 5% just for easy calculation. So typically you can able to get on 10,000, 5% is 10% is $500, and then let's say $1,000, right? So when you sell $20,000 licenses, as an example, you can get $1,000 commission, plus obviously you're getting your base salary as well. And then if you keep selling, your commission will be keep increasing. So again, it's something that you don't know exactly how much every month you make, or every quarter you make, or every year you make. But if you are a good salesperson, then you can probably end up making almost double than if you're just doing a flat salary. So let's say if a person is just working as normal people who work as a consultant, let's say they're starting a few years of experience, like a junior position, let's say they make $60,000 a year as an example, right? And they might get a 3% bonus every or 5% bonus or whatever bonus structure they have, but that's it, right? Couple of $1,000 a bonus, 65K, and that's it, you're done. Now it doesn't matter how hard you work or how much hours you're paying, that's all you're gonna get. But if you don't work that much, there's a possibility they might lay you off if you're not good enough. So meaning you can work a lot, but you still get the same salary. But in sales, the beauty is that if you work really hard and if you become a really good salesperson, even if you're selling a lot of whatever you're selling, your commission is going up and up and up and up. You have the base, you have certain things that you're selling. So let's say you're counting that 65K very quickly. But then if you keep selling more, your commission is keep going up. So I think there's a question from Lillian. Let's take the question.
Okay, I wanted to clarify 2 things. You mentioned something about the number of licenses. If you're selling licenses to a prospective customer, does it have to be strictly a minimum of 10, or you can have you can sell less than 10?
Oh, you can sell a single license too.
Okay.
Yeah, I just gave an example that if a company has 10 people and all of the 10 people need to use license, I'm just giving an example. But you can literally sell 1 license, or you can sell 100,000 licenses. So for example, let's say you are very lucky and you are very senior executive kind of a person who's working with government sector, or maybe you're working with enterprise level clients. So one of the client that I work with as an example, they had about 10,000 people who will end up using Salesforce. It's like a big multi-billion-dollar company, right? They have about operations in 32 countries. They actually are one of the biggest recruitment agencies in the world. So I did like one project for them through Salesforce. And as an example, they bought 10,000 licenses, right? And they renew every year. And obviously the higher number of the license, the more bigger discount Salesforce can give you. Like it's exactly like anything else. So for example, if you buy just one license, they might say, hey, I cannot give you a big discount. I can give you a little bit of discount or maybe no discount. But let's say you said, okay, I can buy 10 licenses right away, because now you are buying 10 licenses, they may able to run some numbers and give you some discount. From 10, you said, you know what, I have like 100 people, I need 100 licenses now. Again, they will go further. So the more the number of licenses, the more discount Salesforce people can give to a company.
Okay. All right. And my second question was on the NPSP license, the nonprofit one. I understand Salesforce gives free licenses.
Correct.
So I don't know how you, like as a partner, how you treat that. Like for example, like this side of the world that I'm in, Salesforce is not that popular.
Sure.
So it's kind of like entry level. Like I'll use Zimbabwe as an example.
Sure.
So you get people that you talk to say, you know, have you heard about Salesforce? Have you heard about this? So I had one customer who says to me, they are running a very successful NGO, a very big one.
Yep.
So it says to me, I do want licenses, but I know Salesforce from my research that Salesforce gives free licenses.
Correct.
So how best do I go about getting a free license? So how do you treat that as a partner to say somebody is already coming in and wanting free service per se?
So there are two answers for that. One is, yes, Salesforce give free licenses to nonprofit, but at least I know for the US perspective. But I know that every country there's an office or a local office or a regional office. So for a specific area, if it is Zimbabwe, you might need to talk to the person in Salesforce, and you can actually open a case for that, and then you can talk, who can I talk to about this nonprofit. But I can tell you from a US perspective, because I normally work in a US territory. In US, a nonprofit need to be a 501c approved, which is like a status that if I open a nonprofit today, I can file a paperwork with the federal agencies, and then they will review my papers, and they will say, yes, everything, you are certified, whatever their requirements are. You need to have a bank account, you need to have a purpose, you need to whatever they need to know. So I submit all the paperwork, and they will give me something like a license called 501c approved, which means that you are government approved, which means that now if somebody give me a donation, at the end of the year, I can give him the receipt, and they can use this receipt to basically put there on the taxes, and they will have reduced taxes. So for example, if a person give a donation of $10,000 in 1 year, right? And they give somebody who have a license from the government, and I'm not talking about Salesforce right now, just a regular process. So if I gave somebody gave $10,000 to a nonprofit, that nonprofit is registered with government, so means they have 501c approved. At the end of the year, they send them a receipt that, thank you, Mr. ABC, you gave us $10,000, and here's your receipt. Now that person will take the receipt and go to the accountant who will be filing the taxes, and they will say, hey, I gave $10,000 to a charity, and here is the proof. So he will take that, he will put it in the accounting, and then that person will get a sort of a benefit out of it. So because they donated, they did not use it for their personal use, so they will have sort of a reduced tax. So this is something like that. But the condition is that that organization, the nonprofit, has to be 501c approved, not any organization or any somebody who is open up something in US. So same thing applies with Salesforce. If you want a license if you are running a nonprofit and you need a licenses from Salesforce for free, you need to submit your 501c approved papers, right? Once you approve it, they review it, and they can give you, but they only give you 10 licenses. So it's not like an unlimited licenses. Okay. So first of all, you need to submit a paperwork. You need to be 501c approved. Now, for other countries, they may have their own ways. They may have their own paperwork. So you just need to find the Salesforce rep for that area who control that, who who knows a little bit more about those area, maybe a country rep or a regional rep, and they can tell you what kind of paperwork is your nonprofit need. But let's say, take an example. Let's say you have a paperwork you submit, but you still get 10 free licenses. So yes, I mentioned whenever you go for Salesforce, you need 2 pieces. So yes, 1 piece, which is Salesforce licenses. Let's say they need less than 10 licenses. They're good. They got 10 licenses, but they still need to pay to a partner to set up their system. So that cost is still there. They still need to pay to a partner to set up their system, customize it, understand what they need, maybe do some connections, maybe they need to do setup, or if they're able to find some volunteer who can do it for free, that's another thing. But technically, they can get free licenses if they have 501c approved in US, but they still need to pay a Salesforce partner to set up their system. So that's the answer of your question number 1. Second question, I would say in continuation, is how would you make money? But so that let me answer that. So as I said, you will only get 10 licenses and you will only get NPSP licenses, right? Now that organization is first of all big. Let's say they have 100 people and 10 licenses are not enough. They need, let's say 30, 40, 50 licenses. So any licenses on top of the 10 licenses, obviously they need to pay. However, if a regular license costs $100 in the open market, let's say Sales Cloud license, the NPSP license, they will charge you a very substantial, very discounted price. Again, I don't know the exact numbers, but it is very heavily discounted. So if it is $100, they will not charge a nonprofit for additional licenses after 10, not $100, but they will charge you a very discounted prices. But as a Salesforce AE, you still make money off of them once they start buying more licenses beyond those 10 licenses. Because tomorrow, as somebody mentioned that they are doing Pardot, let's say this nonprofit need to actually start doing a lot of B2B, meaning they have their own nonprofit, but they work with a lot of other businesses. And they want to run a lot of marketing campaigns and things of that nature. And in order to get that, they need to get doing a lot of marketing campaigns so they can buy Pardot. Same thing now as a Salesforce BD or BDR or AE, you can sell them Pardot licenses. Again, because they're nonprofit, Salesforce typically give them a very good discount. Does that answer for your question?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Perfect. So, so that's how you can make money if you're working with Salesforce specifically, right? Now, this is one area. And again, for that, you need to keep applying in Salesforce. However, let me talk about a flip side, which is if you're working for a partner, what you're doing and what you're selling, because both of them are very interconnected and you can switch from one part of the coin to the next part of the coin, because these are the two part of the coins that go hand in hand. Now let's talk a little bit about the partner system. Now on one side, Salesforce is just the product company who are selling. So either you get a position with a Salesforce or nothing, right? Because that's just the Salesforce has the right to sell the license. However, they have hundreds and thousands of partners who provide the implementation services for Salesforce. Now, whenever somebody buy a license, as I said, they always need an implementation partner to actually implement it. And the implementation cost can vary widely. So there are companies who are working from India, from Pakistan, from Zimbabwe, from London, from England, from Europe, from US. So you can imagine the prices can change. There could be a company from an offshore who can provide you a service which is very cheap, right? And then you have a company in US who is a top tier partner, platinum partner. They can provide also implementation services, but their price is really high, right? Now, both of those type of companies, either they are in somewhere offshore or they are in Europe or they are in US or wherever they are, they need salespeople in order to get the business, right? Now, if a partner company do not have a sales team, guess what? They cannot even run a business. So although we, as a normal person, we always think like, okay, Salesforce is a very tough job, and sales is something, no, not Salesforce, but sales is something very tough job if you are a regular business person. But you can think of that without the sales, there's no business, right? So let's say I ran a Salesforce partnership company, and I can tell you now, first thing that I need in order to hire anybody, like for example, I have business analysts, admins, architect, all sorts of technical people. But if I don't have a project, guess what? I'm not going to hire anybody because I don't have anything to work on. So before to hire anybody else, or before anybody else get a business, you need to have salespeople who will bring the business, right? And in many cases, when someone start a company, or if someone is doing it themselves, like the founders or the CEOs or the chief executive or partners, in many cases, they are the salespeople who start a company. You can take my example. I was always a technical person. I was always a functional person. I never was engaged in sales for past 20 years. But when I started my own company, the first thing I need to learn is how to sell. Because if I cannot sell my own services, guess what? It's going to be very hard to find people who can sell for me. Because first of all, I need to prove that our services are good and I can sell that. And then somebody who is actually a salesperson, they can see that, okay, this person is selling a services, they're getting business. It means that this is sellable. And maybe I can able to hire other people who can sell it for me. And we can create like a sales team, and we can hire multiple people. But typically, think of sales is foundation of every business. Because if you cannot sell your service, if you cannot sell your product, guess what? Your business will never going to run. So right now, if you know, Salesforce have had a big layoff. They let go 10% of their overall team, which is around 8,000 people. And one of the biggest reason they are saying why they let go that many people is they are saying that we are not selling and we are not growing, right? Which means that, as an example, if they are selling something, let's say as an example, like 1 million a month, now in last month or last year or so, they're not selling as much. So they reduce their sales, which means there's less money coming in, and they cannot support that many people anymore, because this is a pure business 101. So at any point in time, if a business cannot bring more sales, if they do not have good salespeople, if they stop selling, no matter how good their technical team is, no matter how best their product is, if they cannot sell it, they have to close doors very soon, right? Because if you're not selling, you're not doing. So keep in mind, selling is something which can never go old. You can never be, if you're a good salesperson, you can never be unemployed. But being a good salesperson is another discussion. But if somebody is a good salesperson, it's like a hunter. If you are a good hunter, you will able to hunt for you in any case, and you always be filled. The reason why a lot of people don't want to get into it, because it's a relatively hard thing, because hunting, as even like how different animals do their hunting, is not easy, right? It's very tough. Even with the best of the best resources, let's say if you're a very fierce animal like a leopard or tiger or lioness or whatever, it's still just to get one meal, they struggle a lot. They waited long hours, they hide themselves, then they run, and a lot of times they still don't able to catch anything. Then they start the cycle again. Then they start the cycle again till they get what they need, right? So sales, because it's it's sort of a hunting, you need to have that aggressive or very optimistic point of view, you keep doing it, but the people who can able to sell, first of all, they never be unemployed, because you always need people who sell, right? Every company, everything needs to be sell, right? Even nonprofits, if nobody is giving you donation, the nonprofit will close. So you still sell that why are you doing nonprofit, and whatever you are doing, it makes sense. Otherwise, nobody will give donation to you, right? If people do not trust what you're doing is worth it, they're not going to donate for your nonprofit, right? But if they trust, and what it means, how they trust is basically you're selling the goal that you have, or the purpose that you have built your nonprofit. So not just business, but anything is there. Now, if you have good sales um, skills, and even that is something you can develop over the period of time, that can open a lot of different doors, right? Off the bat, you can become a freelance, because now you know how to sell, you know how to talk, you know who to reach, how to reach, what to talk, how to close, how to negotiate, how to understand that this client may not do the deal, because if I give him a very high cost, he will run away. Or this client is an enterprise level client, maybe we can get away with a little bit higher price. So you have to be very sort of innovative and very strategic about what to talk and how to talk, and what to present. So you cannot be just presenting the same thing to everybody. You have to be very cognitive, you have to be really understanding, but it's very kind of a challenging at the same time. It's very fun if you enjoy that. A lot of people don't enjoy that, but if you start enjoying that, that's pretty fun thing. So now as a byproduct, first of all, you can start your own freelancing business on site, right? You can, if you are a good salesperson, you can go to different of these freelancing sites and you can just start selling. Because if you're a good salesperson, compared to a lot of other people who are very technical in nature, but they don't know how to sell. So even though they are really good developers, they are really good architects, they're really good cybersecurity consultants, whatever they are, but they don't know how to sell. So unless you know how to sell, they cannot able to get the business. They maybe work really well if you give them the work, but if they don't know how to sell their own services, which in most cases they don't, that's why they are working for somebody else. They cannot sell their own services in most cases. In some cases, they can do a little bit of it, they can make some money off of it, but they cannot make so much money that they build a business on top of it. Some of them, they who pick up this sales behavior and skill, they can obviously, a lot of them actually form their own businesses, they start hiring other people, they start hiring more and more, and they can grow from there. So in short, every coming back to the point that every partner, a Salesforce partner who provide implementation service, now they also need salespeople like us. So we are Salesforce and MuleSoft partner, and we have a sales team as well. And again, guess what? I probably is the main person who lead the sales. But now I'm at a point where I've started hiring more and more people, and executing different programs, and I learn it myself from scratch through books, through things. But the most what I learned is through just getting into it, just start calling people, just doing my own thing, right? Just to get into there, get my feet wet, just jump into the water, learn it from scratch, and learn it from the source itself. So for the past couple of years I'm doing it. In the past 20 years I never did it, right? Just to give you an idea. So it doesn't matter what you have done in the past, but if you want to do it, and if you feel like this is something interesting for you, because it is very interesting, then you can just jump into it right off the bat. Now, how does this piece of the world work? So again, same thing. You need to understand what Salesforce does on a high level. You don't need to know exactly how everything works and how the technical pieces work. You just need to understand the value that it provides. So for example, if you are a Salesforce, a salesperson, or a business development, so we use these terminologies interchangeable. So we can call this BD rep, or we can call you BD executive, or we can call you AE, which is account executive, whatever, but all of them comprises of the same thing, same job is to bring more business, close more deals, right? So how do you close more deals, or what do you need to become a BD or a AE or a sales executive or whatever? Is first of all, you need to understand on a high level what Salesforce does, and on a more micro level that what each or some of the high utilized clouds will do. So if you understand what Sales Cloud will do versus why, when do you need Service Cloud versus when do you need Pardot versus when do you need Marketing Cloud versus when do you need Nonprofit Service Pack versus when you need CPQ. And again, you don't need to learn all of them. You can start with some basic ones. So the basic ones are Sales Cloud, Service Cloud, Pardot, Experience Cloud, we used to be called Community, and maybe NPSP. So even if you learn about these five, and the way you need to learn is not how some of you are learning Salesforce, like in detail, that what are the objects, what are the fields, what are this, how to create permission sets, how to do security. That's not the way you need to learn if you want to become more on a business side of the house, or a sales side of the house, to be more precise. What you need to learn is, what does Sales Cloud do? If I'm talking to a business who runs an insurance services, how they can use Service Cloud? What is the data that goes into the Service Cloud? What is the information they will be storing into the Sales Cloud? What is the benefit they have if they use Sales Cloud versus if they use an Excel sheet? So if you have answered for why, you can become an unstoppable salesperson. Because a lot of people, when they get into sales, they are not understanding. They may know the product very well, but they don't know why. They don't know why somebody will use that. So when I started my conversation, I gave you an example that if I'm selling cars, if I don't understand why people need it in certain areas and why people need in other areas, you cannot become a good salesperson. And the way you understand is, you need to understand your client. So first you need to understand obviously what the product can do, like what Sales Cloud can actually do. Why do I need to spend? Sales Cloud is not cheap. The average license starts, I would say, $75, the professional edition, and then goes to $150 per license per month if you go for um, an EE license, which is enterprise license, which is typically the one that you need if you want to do a lot of customization. So imagine $150 a month for one license, meaning if you have 10 people in your small team, you are spending $1,500 a month, and that will become what? That will become 15, 150 into 10 into 12. We are talking like 18 grand a year, $18,000 a year just for the license. Why would somebody spend $1,500 a month, every month, $18,000 a year on a product? Why in the world? And this is just half of the price. For the first time when they implement, now we comes in, who are Salesforce partners, and we charge them pretty hefty price for the implementation as well. Salesforce services are not cheap. They can start anywhere from, I would say the cheapest you can get from offshore, even from any company offshore who are super, super cheap, maybe $25, $30 an hour or something similar. And then that can goes all the way up to $200 an hour. So imagine, and on average, a company need to pay anywhere from 5 to 20, 25, $30,000 just for the implementation. So for the first year, if we just take like an average cost of $10,000 for implementation, we'll end up with $28,000 to $30,000 for the first year of Salesforce for our decent size of licenses, which is a regular 150. Even again, they might get some discounts, whatnot, but on average, they might be spending this $30,000 just for the first year. Later year, you don't need to do for implementation costs, so that goes down, but the license cost still $18,000 you have to pay every year. Now, as you know, companies are growing. They are buying Salesforce. It means that people need that, but can you able to sell it? Why would somebody spend that much if they have like a cheaper options, like If you know the ecosystem, then you also need to know competitors. Who is our competitor? We have Microsoft Dynamics, right? You need to understand what Dynamics do and how we are better than that, right? There's a software called Zoho, which is pretty popular in SMB businesses because it's a little bit cheaper, does not require a lot of money to set up. Like we are, as I said, let's say as an example, we said $10,000 or $5,000 for setup. Zoho may not even need that. Maybe it's just a, it's sort of a built up, a very cookie cutter solution. So you may able to start using it off the bat. You don't need to spend that money. Their licenses are maybe cheaper. I don't know how much cheaper, but they are from the market perspective, they are cheaper. So why would somebody not go Zoho but Salesforce? And there are a lot of clients of mine who actually move from Zoho to Salesforce. They move from Dynamics to Salesforce. Again, it is possible they can move back from Salesforce to Zoho. Reasons, there are a lot of reasons. But if you're selling Salesforce, you need to know why somebody should go with Salesforce and why not with Zoho, why not with Sugar CRM, why not with Salesforce Dynamics, and why not with A, B, C, and D different CRMs which are available online. Now, you may think, oh, this is expensive. This is, I may sell something easy, but think about that. Who got the biggest market share? So right now, Salesforce has the most market share, and the next competitor, which I believe is Microsoft Dynamics, is only on 6 to 8% versus Salesforce is about 20-25% of the overall market share of the CRM. So it means that this product can sell. It's already have their position. You just need to know how to sell it for the clients, and you need to convince them why Salesforce. So that's how you can understand. And as I said, you may need to know different clouds. Again, you don't need to know all of them. You just need to know some of the basic clouds so that you understand. But the main thing is you need to understand the pointers that can convince a business to spend money. Because anytime, so as an example, you go to a showroom, you need to buy a new car, right? Have you noticed that the salespeople, you may need to go and buy a very simple plain car, let's say under 20 grand, but you end up buying like a $40,000 car with a nice blings and a lot of features, maybe upgraded version, and you're very happy and you come back, although you spend the double the money, right? Which you get in there, you said, I will spend this much money. At the end of the day, you end up spending more or in some cases, 2x money, and then you come back. So that is the skill of a salesperson, that how he can understand your need, how he can understand what you're capable of, what you may be desired of, how this product that you're selling or service that you're selling can make your business better or your life better, whatever. And if you can able to do this convincing smartly, you can be unstoppable. So the sales field is a one which can make you hunter, and it will make you a very strong person, because most of the positions in Salesforce, which are more on a consulting side, no offense to them, but all of them, they are basically they given everything ready for them. So the project is sold, everything is done, and they comes in and okay, I can execute it. Nice job. No, like it's very good for somebody who wants that kind of job, right? But if you are somebody who is sort of struggling either into getting that kind of job, because that kind of job also require a lot of different skill sets. So at this point in time, because the economy is really bad, everybody is laying off people. And if you're just starting, if you try to get into a job which everybody wants, you may find it very, very hard. If we talk about 2 years back, even 1 year back, and if you have a couple of certifications, and if you can have done some volunteer work, you may end up getting a Salesforce position very easily. A lot of my students, I've been training Salesforce for past 5+ years. Anybody who spent some time, got a couple of certification, trust me, all of them were able to get a job. Yes, that's true. Somebody can able to get a job in 1 month. Somebody, it took like 6 months, 8 months. I know somebody who, for her, it took like more than a year, more than 12 months. But when she comes back and call me, I don't even recall right off the bat, but she said, hey, I was on this batch of yours, And I finally able to find a job. I was like, which batch was that? And she mentioned, and it was more than 12 to 14 months before. I was like, wow, that take so long. She's like, you know what? I was keep working, keep doing. I was not able to get into there, but I had like a job that I was doing. So I just keep trying in parallel. I never lose hope. I keep getting some more certifications. I actually end up getting a volunteer position, unpaid, a couple of hours a week that helped me. And now I'm finally able to get a very good job, and I'm leaving my full-time job and becoming a full-time Salesforce consultant. But for her, it took her 14 months. Now, how many people are ready to spend 14 months on something? Very few people. A lot of people just change their path or pick up something else, and they're like, this is not for me, whatever. But I believe if you are somebody like me who is very stubborn, and you decide I'm somebody who is very stubborn at times, and that helps me, because when I decide something that I want to do, and usually it took me a really long time to really decide, and things of that nature. But when I decide something, I try to be consistent with that. I basically close all the inlets. I don't listen to anything. I just become blind and deaf, and I just said, okay, I want to do this, and there is nothing else I'm ready to listen. The only thing I listen is, okay, how can I do this? How can I do next step, next step, next step? But I don't ask about it. Is it good? Is it bad? Can I get a job? Is it a good? I just do my due diligence in the beginning, and then I don't look back. And I want to be successful, and that's the only time I said, okay, now I have done it what I was intended for. Now let's see what I want to do next. But it may take me 6 months, it may take me 6 years, but that's how you can be very successful. That if you decide on something, and most of these things are pretty good, like Salesforce, cybersecurity, Amazon, AWS, all of these things are good. It's just how good you are that you can make money. So a lot of time people think that, is Salesforce good? Is Google good? Is AWS good? Is this good? Is that good? Is sales job is good? Is Salesforce admin is good? Is business analyst good? It does not depend on all of these things. What really depends at the end of the day is how good you are. So if you are good enough, no matter what you pick up, you will do well. And that's what you need to understand from the growth perspective, as an individual growth perspective, that at the end of the day, the kind of money you want to make, you are the one who will be writing the check at the end of the day. If you want to make $1,000 a month, you will make $1,000 a month if you put your heart and soul. If you want to make $10,000 a month, you will make $10,000 a month. Or if you want to make $1 million a month, you can make $1 million a month. It's just you need that toughness in your head, that what you want to do, and what you want to, what are the inspirations you have. Some people have their family that they want to support. Some people have their kids they want to support. Some people have their other reasons to support. Somebody just want to make money because they are very enthusiastic to make money. Whatever the reason is, it doesn't matter. You need to have a strong reason, and you need to have a strong work ethic. And the main thing that counts is consistency. Can you work consistently for a long period of time? Even it's like an hour, even if it is 30 minutes. It's not about how much effort you put initially, because everybody, when they start something, they put a lot of stress. They work a lot, but over the period of time, they start withering away, become slow, 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 and ultimately they will leave that, and then they start pick something else, right? But if you can do a limited work, but if you are somebody who can do it for a long period of time, then I can guarantee like 200% you can never fail, because you are taking away the chances of failing. Because if you say, for example, I want to become a sales executive in Salesforce, and then you keep working towards it, and you're not giving away, then what will happen? You will become sales executive, because you're not giving away. The only time you fail is when you said, okay, I'm gonna quit. But if you have a mindset where you said, I'm not gonna quit, then you can tell me, how would you fail? There's no way you can fail. You are basically, it's impossible for somebody to fail if they said, I'm not gonna quit. I'm just gonna be as successful as I want. And then I can think about if I want to do something else, because I explored it, I mastered it, I'm good at it, I did what I need to do. And then maybe, yes, you can go to the next step. So this is something I kind of throw a lot of stuff in there. So let me open up for you guys to ask any questions and see what feedback did I get so far. You are on mute.
Thank you for a really very detailed explanation. It's very helpful to understand the core business concept. But I have a question about the business development resources and AE differences, because what I understand is account executives are for the company who sell the licenses, right? And then the business development resources, it could be both for the partners and the company who sell the products. So for example, from the consulting company perspective, that business development resources person is a marketing person or a sales one, because he's looking for customers, or he's taking the customer, the marketing people bring to the, just bring to the sales pipeline and close the deal. What is exactly the difference? That's what I want to know, one thing. The other thing is how confident you are, like new people from different industry become a good salesperson or AE. Just
I'll answer one by one. So the first question that you ask is, just to rephrase, is sort of what is like AE, BD, and salesperson. So just to let you know, all of these terminologies can be interchangeable. So I throw all of these so that you understand, but at the end of the day, they all are salespeople, right? You can call them sales executive, and sales executive can be on Salesforce side or a partner side. You can call them account executive. They can be on a Salesforce side or an account or a partner side. You can call them BDRs. BDRs can be on Salesforce side or a partner side. So the terminology, I throw all of the terminology so that if you see an account executive on a partner side, it's sort of the same thing. You need to sell the services. But if the account executive on a Salesforce side, then you need to sell the license. If you are a BDR on a Salesforce side, you're selling the license. If you're a BDR on a partner side, you're selling the service. If you are a sales executive on Salesforce side, you're selling the license. If you're a sales executive on partner side, you're selling the services. So whatever name you're gonna give them, they all are salespeople at the end of the day. And if you're working on a Salesforce side, if you get a job directly with Salesforce, you are selling licenses. But if you're getting a job with a partner, then you are selling the services. So that's a fundamental difference. So name, because the reason why I throw all the names so you don't get confused, but actually it's the same thing. It's just if you get a job directly with Salesforce, you are selling the licenses, but if you get with partners, you get the selling the services. That's the only difference. But name whatever you can call it, because as I said, in my partner ecosystem, we also call them BDRs, we also call them account executive, we also call them sales executive. It's just a terminology, right? Just whatever suits you. In Salesforce also, they have BDR, they have account executive, and I also heard like sales executive. So all of them, they're there. They may change a little bit of position. So BDR may be a junior person, account executive can be senior, business development executive can be more senior, whatever, but they all are selling something. Either you're selling the license, or on this side, you are selling the services. So that's number one. Number two question is very interesting, is what I think about a person coming from a different diverse background, no background in sales or no background in marketing. And then also like a subcategory question is, how does it work? That is, how about the marketing team? Do they get resources? They able to get some accounts, and then sales team can go forward. So I'll try to answer both of them. So first, the process is, you're right. The sales process work in a different way. In many companies who are a little bit more mature, they have a marketing department and they have a sales department. The marketing department run different campaigns, different work on a social media, whatnot, and try to capture a lot of different leads. And those leads are supplied to the sales team, and then sales team start making calls and then just take it from there. So that is a more typical scenario. But in some cases, what salespeople do is, because they start getting an understanding of what kind of people are there, and right now pretty much everybody have access to LinkedIn, different online social platforms and whatnot. They also can able to go and start hunting themselves, sort of a marketing team as well, and try to get their own leads, because they also have relationships from the past, right? So for example, you said you are working in telecom. What if you can able to go back to like 30 or 40 people that you know in your telecom past, and you can start reaching them out yourself, right? And then they become leads, and then you talk about the sales. So you basically able to do everything on your own as well. In other cases, you can have like different leads that are coming your way from the marketing team through campaigns, and obviously you can take them and start making calls, start connecting them with LinkedIn and whatnot. So there are different ways you can do that. A lot of very successful salespeople that I know, they work in, they try to use both the scenarios, meaning they will utilize the resources or the leads that are provided by the system through their company, but they also start reaching out and start connecting with people themselves, because they exactly know what to sell, who to sell, how to sell. And because these days you can have very quick access through LinkedIn to different people, you can able to build your relationship and then you can sell it. So a lot of time I've seen a very successful salespeople or account executive, whatever you want to call them, they can utilize both sources. Like they can utilize the leads that are coming your way, but you can also utilize your own resources, your own background, your own relationship building skills. You can go to a lot of new conferences, you can go to different seminars, you can go attend different online sessions and whatnot, and try to figure out if there anybody who can be a potential client. If you know that, you quickly note down the information, go to LinkedIn, add them, try to build up a conversation, and then you can see if they have a need of Salesforce. So this is how pretty much it works, that you can use the internal leads or you can get your own leads. But in terms of the success, I have seen the sales executive or account executive or BDRs who are super successful are some of those who almost bring their own leads. They don't even rely on the system. They may use that, and obviously that can help them. They can close more deals, but they become so good in their thing that they can even identify the other resources, and they can start bringing in the business and start going out there and start fishing on their own, right? It's almost like if you are fishing in open sea and somebody tell you, hey, you can go to that spot and there you can find good fishes at that point in time during the day. You can go there and you can find the fishes. Maybe you're lucky, you can get it. But there could be a person who said, you know what, screw that, I'm going to go and find myself that where are the fishes, how are the fishes. Again, that's a harder process, right? You need to have you need to work a little bit more. But then once you do that effort, once you put that energy, then you can able to figure it out one day, and then you become a really successful fisherman. So that's pretty much the answer of the process, that again, you can pick up both the leads from the system which is generating from the company, but also you can always feel free to go and hunt yourself, right? Even generate leads yourself. The second question which you asked first is, how about if I don't have experience in sales? To be very honest, every single person is doing sales on a daily basis as an individual, right? For example, I have a family, I have two daughters. Basically, I'm selling them every day something. They are asking me, hey, Dad, I need to buy this expensive piece of clothes, or I need to buy this expensive toy. And I let's say I don't want to buy it or I can't buy it. I'm going to sell them why you don't need it right now. Correct? I give them excuses. I give them, we can buy it like next month or whatever, right? So and then that's one example. Then you work in a different environment. Somebody asks you for something, and then you basically sell why do you want to do this and why you don't want to do this, right? You work with your partner. Let's say you're married or you have a relationship with somebody. They have a lot of expectation. Again, how do you manage that? It's almost like you're selling something, right? So as a person, you're always selling and negotiating and working with people and things of that nature. So the sales is inherently built into human nature. You're always doing that. It's just you, when you recognize that you can take it to the next level and you can make even a profession out of it, and then you can say, I can do that. So the main thing that you need for sales is, do you have enough self-confidence? Can you talk to people? Are you not a very shy person? And even if you're a shy person, I've seen some of a very successful salespeople and they're shy, but they are so good that they identify their target and they are very precise and they reach in a way that they are comfortable with and they still able to close deals. So it's not necessarily somebody who talks a lot and they're just just engaging with people all the time. They have to be good salespeople, because again, at the end of the day, it's not about talking, it's not just about communication, it's about how you can provide a value, and you can make sure the other person understands the value of whatever you are selling. It's a license, it's a car, it's a product, it's a service, it's a toy, it's like a helicopter, it's a car, whatever you're selling. If you're able to identify the right person and a right reason, and you have that understanding of kind of understand people, then you can be a really good salesperson. It doesn't matter if you are a very talkative person or if you're a less talkative person, if you're a shy person, if you're a very outgoing person. All of these things does not matter a lot. What really matters is how do you have the convincing power, right? So, for example, even when you go for an interview for a job, you need to sell your expertise, right? Like if you do not able to sell your services right, you may not end up finding a job. But if you are really good in selling, trust me, you may not have all the right skills, you may not have all the certifications, but you can beat a lot of those people who have certification experience and they're good. But because you are a good salesperson, you can get a job. And from my personal point of view, I can even share that without any hesitancy. There are a lot of time in my career, I was lacking a lot of skills. I was not the best person for the job, and the people that I was competing with, they are way too good than me in terms of skills, the background, and a lot of other things. They're really good. And if you really see on the paper, I was no match, but I was able to beat them, and I was able to secure those jobs because what I bring to the table is I understand how to sell my services. I can read what they're looking for, and I do not focus on what I have, but I focus what they need. So, for example, when I first get into Salesforce, and by the way, one of you mentioned that you are from telecommunication. I spent 12 plus years in telecommunication ecosystem. I had a master's degree in telecom, and I spent 12 years working for all the top vendors and providers in US and Canada. So you name it, Verizon, AT&T, Sprint, you name it, I pretty much work for everybody. After 12, 13 years of working, I decided to switch my career and get into Salesforce about 5, 6 years back. And imagine when I'm interviewing for jobs in Salesforce, I pretty much able to secure my first Salesforce job within, I would say, 3 months. But before that, I spent about 6 to 8 months in preparing for that job. So I did my certification. I did a pro bono or a volunteer project. I did understand how Salesforce worked. And then the most importantly, I understand the position that I'm targeting, which at that point in time, it was a project manager position, like a Salesforce project manager position. I spent a lot of time in understanding uh, why a company need a Salesforce project manager. What does it do? What is the value that can make a good Salesforce project manager? Why somebody can hire me as a Salesforce project manager? What value that a person can bring as a Salesforce project manager, rather than just focusing on what I have. Okay, I did like 4 certification, I did this, I did that. So a lot of time people just focus on what they can have, and they can just say, I have this. They don't understand that what a person need, right? So if you have that mindset that you don't focus on what you have, but you focus on what they need, and you just give them what they need. So let's say you have 20 attributes that you can present, right? I have certifications, I have this, 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 right? You have only 30 minutes that you want to present yourself. In those 30 minutes as an interview, if you can present the top 5 things that they are looking for, there is a good possibility that you can score that interview. And same thing applies to sales. If you can present the top 5 reasons why they buy Salesforce, although it's expensive, although it may take longer, although there are other tools which are cheaper, although Salesforce is not easy to use in the beginning, but still, if you can able to convince based on their need, you can able to sell a product. And you can, because imagine, people don't just go and buy the cheapest car. People go and buy sometimes the most expensive car, although they can buy like a fraction of the car. So for example, you can go and buy a $10,000 very decent car who can work, but then there is a Ferrari who can cost $200,000 and people can still buy it, right? Both of them do the same thing. They go from point A to point B, right? But why somebody can spend $200,000 versus $10,000 and both of them do the same job, right? So if you can say that, no, I can only sell the $10,000 car because it's cheaper, everybody can buy it, then if you have that mindset that yes, you can never sell a $200,000 car because you don't have the mindset, you don't understand the people who may need that $200,000 car. So Salesforce is first of all not the cheapest platform, it's an expensive platform. But what Salesforce can bring you, no other tool can bring you. But do you have the guts and the knowledge and the convincing potential to somebody to make somebody agree to that they can, yes, they can go ahead and spend the top dollars and they feel good about it, right? Not only you sell them the most expensive thing in the market, but they feel good about it. They feel proud that they have this, right? Because you convince them this will help their business in terms of Salesforce, that can help them grow and they can able to sell more. So just to kind of summarize the answer, as I said last time, it does not matter where you come from, what background you have, what kind of expertise you have, what area that you're coming from. It matters what you want to do. Do you want to be a salesperson? Right? If you don't want to be a salesperson tomorrow and you feel like this probably I'm not fit for this, then don't do it. But if you feel like that, yes, it looks interesting, I think I can do it. It sounds very, very lucrative because in future, if I become like a really good salespeople, I can make a lot of money. Maybe tomorrow I can build my own business, right? I can hire a lot of other people. And if you're somebody like that, if you're futuristic, if you have guts to take risk, if you have guts to learn something new, if you have guts to talk to people, if you have guts to convince them, if you have guts to negotiate them, then that could be the best business or best decision that you can ever make. Because yes, you can become a Salesforce admin, you can become an admin, or you can become a BA, you can become a developer architect, but all of them have a tapped salaries. Yes, you can make $100,000, maybe you can make 150, maybe even you can make $300,000. But salespeople are people who build companies, who become CEOs, who become founders, who become, even I know somebody in sales, if you go back and look, the people who make the most money out of any profession are hands down the salespeople. Because if you're selling, because if Salesforce are selling billions of dollars of business, imagine somebody's making commission on those sales. And imagine how much commission they will be making on those, right? Like if you go back and check Salesforce, how much revenue that they generate last year, it could be, I don't remember last time it was 8 billion or 10 billion per year. So if Salesforce, just one company, is selling $10 billion revenue, meaning 1,000 companies are paying $1 billion or $10 billion, who are those people who are selling it? Somebody is selling that. And those who are selling, guess what? They will be making the biggest money. They are making the biggest buck. Not the people who are architecting it, not the people who are doing this. They are making decent amount of money too. I'm not saying they're not making good money. But if you really want like an untapped money, like how I want money, because I always used to work for somebody, right? I always want to have like a safe path that, okay, I can get my job 9 to 5, I can got my paycheck every 2 months, 2 weeks, and I'm good to go. Okay, I spent that for a long period of time, but then I was like, I'm not going anywhere. Doesn't matter how good I make as an individual person, but I cannot make good money. So I learned that I need to get to the next step and I need to become a hunter, and I need to hunt myself, and I need to create business. And that's how I finally able to build my own company today. Because if I cannot sell it, then I cannot convince anybody to sell it. And just to give you an example, I never had a sales background. I never have a sales degree. I never sell in my career. I did support sales. I did support other teams who are selling it, but directly I never sold. But in the past 2 years or less, I able to capture more than 50 projects. I don't have a big sales team. I just have one other person who do a little bit of BD for me, but pretty much I by myself able to sell 50 projects in less than a year or less than 2 years, I would say. So you don't need anything, but what you need is like self-confidence that you can do that. So now I kind of wrapping up it. So give you an idea that if that is something, if you are interested in getting into Salesforce in sales roles, what I can offer you is you can work with Unboxx, right? And the way we can work is pretty straightforward. For the first 3 months, it will be more of a commission based, right? If you bring business, you can get a very decent commission. We can go all the way up to 10%. And if you go further, let's say if you we haven't set up the target, but let's say you have a target of $15,000 sales per month. But if you sell more than that, then we can even increase the percentage on top of a certain dollar. And then if you can able to do that, so 3 months of $50,000 of sales, if you do one of those, whatever comes first, then we can put you on actual base salary plus commission model, right? Because we are a small company, we cannot start everybody with giving them base salary plus commission. So what normally we works with, we start with a batch with group of people, and I train one-on-one on almost a weekly or bi-weekly basis, give them what they need to learn, how they negotiate, and they will work directly with me, right? I can give them some leads, they can find their own leads, whatever works best. But then I can guide them for the first 3 months. And if they start selling, right, they can get commission right off the bat. And as soon as they hit a certain number and they want to continue, then we can convert them into sort of a base salary plus commissions, which means that they will now start getting like a regular paycheck. On top of it, they will get the same commission what they were getting, right? But because we're a small company, we cannot afford to pay base salary from the get-go. That's why I come up with this model. And so far, this is working pretty well, because in that way, you can also see if you want to invest that time or not, right? And then if you work and you have somebody who's working with you, who have done a lot of sales and who is working in this field for a long time, and then if it works for you, then as I said, it can become your career path, and you can become like a full-time salesperson, a sales executive, and then moving on, you can grow your career in the same thing. And again, as I said, I will sort of even train you, take your hand one step at a time, kind of guide you, start from something very simple to sell, give you leads, give you the pitch. And then whenever you have somebody who wants to talk, ready to like say, want to learn more, then I can be on the call and I can probably try to sell with you. But all the commission that we agreed upon, which is 10% to begin with, will all goes to you. But I will work with you on every step of the journey till you can able to do that. And then even later on, because whenever you have a client who's interested, then they need to understand the technical piece and the cost and everything. So all of that I can take care, and then you can learn along with the time that how much does it cost and things of that nature, which I can obviously guide you in the beginning, that if you're talking to a nonprofit, this is our rate. If you're talking to enterprises, this is our rate, and so on and so forth. So this is something that you guys can think of. If you're interested, you don't need to let me know right now, but you can just message me on LinkedIn saying, hey, I'm interested. I want to join this next group that I'm starting very soon. And then I can provide you more details, how we can start and things of that nature.
Okay, thank you for the detailed explanation again. Really, it sounds very interesting.
All right, very good, very good. That's
Yeah.
all. That's all the goal is.
It's interesting because I don't want to waste time looking something which doesn't work. And also I see a potential in myself. Like I have other qualities, like attributes that could align with this salesperson. Of course, there are some things which I don't know. Maybe when you think about new things, like you feel like, can I do it? Is it easy or something? As a human being, when you think new things, some things come to your mind. There are something which I feel in that way, but I'm a risk taker, because unless you take a risk, you cannot grow. I believe that I just, as a person, I want to see value in something which I buy, and I believe that I should, display or explain the value for anyone I want to use some product.
Absolutely.
I believe in that. I am a very detail-oriented person. I can follow up. I have all these qualities, I believe.
Yes.
With training and guidance, and with the help of you, I really believe that I can benefit from this opportunity. Probably, as you said, maybe we need to communicate in person through LinkedIn, and to see how it goes and to discuss more. And I just appreciate that. And I would say one thing: this is a difficult time. I know this economy slowed down. There are many people crying for a job. As a person, I feel now you may not need to go just collect new people and talk about sales, because there are plenty of supplies outside of. So I appreciate that. I mean, this is just going beyond. As a business person, just you post a job, and there are plenty outside. They can apply and discuss with you about business. You don't need to spend your 2 hours explaining for people who don't know about sales, and I really appreciate that. Honestly, thank you so much for that.
No, what I believe is, first of all, anything can help anybody, right? You don't know who's coming in. And obviously, typically, I try to post this on my YouTube channel as well. So even, sometimes somebody from somewhere can, accidentally got into this video, view it, and they got passionate. So a lot of time, I get feedback, emails, and comments that, hey, I read, I listened to your video and I got motivated and I started working in Salesforce and I finally got my job. So sometimes you can make changes in a lot of people's lives. So that's very interesting, and that's very positive thing that I learned from it, that how you can help other people. And at the same time, I have to be very precise, because just telling people that go and do something and be hardworking and do this or that, it's good, but it's not really, you're not providing the actual path to somebody. So that was I always felt, and I thought that if I can pretty much a little bit more precise, and it doesn't matter if 100 people can join or 1% can join, I always try to give my 100%, because if that 1% can adopt that and make a change, I think that's the value I can get out of it. So I'm not looking for that unless 100 people can join or 1,000 people can join, then it's value. The value is if even one person can listen and they can adapt it and change their life. Either they work with me or not, it doesn't matter. But if they do something and I am just a ray of hope for them, and they pick something from there and they start working in some direction, I would feel like, okay, I did contribute something. And obviously, you have some personal goals and you also have some long-term goals, which kind of help other people as well, because you can be successful yourself, but you can always need to see what can really fulfill you. So once you're able to achieve a lot of your own targets, then you start looking for other targets. And for me, obviously, I work really hard to achieve my own targets, which is obviously belong to me, my business, how can I expand more. But at some point in time, I also feel obliged to see how I can help other people so that they can achieve their targets as well and they can be successful as well, because it's a big world. There's a lot of opportunities. Everybody can get something. They not necessarily need to take away my thing. It's an abundance. There's a lot of stuff out there, a lot of business out there, a lot of opportunities out there. So everybody can able to get something out of it. I think I got one quick question. Let me quickly read that. This question may be out of scope for this session. You have told about layoffs in Salesforce because of the market of the Salesforce declining. I'm person who is learning and cross-skilling Salesforce development. Sorry, no. So a very good question. No, Salesforce is not on decline or anything of nature. the whole economy is declining, right? Everything is going down basically. So for example, if you know, the Amazon has laid off 18,000 people, not 8,000 people, 18,000 people. And before that, Meta has laid down 11,000 people. And then before that, Stripe has laid down people. Before that, now the banks are laying down people. So for example, yesterday I was learning that about a bunch of banks, very high profile banks and financial institutions are laying off people. So literally every single business is laying off people because they're expecting slowdown in 2023 because of the economic slowdown, because of the war, because of the financial crisis which we are standing upon. Probably, I think unless you don't know about it, the rates are hiking. They were almost at zero last 10 years. Now they are almost on 6-7%, and they're even going further higher. You also know that US have not faced the um, the price hike on what do you call that? Um, um, Basically, the prices are hiking for everything, and that is also causing a lot of pressure. We are almost at a double digit at one time. British economy is going down big time. If you know that they have like almost their system was almost near to meltdown a couple of months back. Now they inject like a lot of money. Obviously, you can imagine like UK is a very big economy apart from US. Other economies are feeling the same thing. Eurozone is going through a lot of pain. The gas pricing were top roof. Like the grains and other things were also affected because of the supply chain process, because of the war. So it's not about a system. It's like everybody will get impacted. Every uh, vertical and every business will got impacted. I don't know if you know that, but the housing prices will go down big time, right? The housing pricing right now, I know a lot of people still think, oh no, they're not going to go down. Yes, they will. When people don't have jobs, they cannot able to pay mortgages, they will be start defaulting on their loans. What will happen if thousands and hundreds of thousands of people start uh, unable to pay their mortgages? They will start defaulting. They will stop paying the mortgages. What will happen? They will lose their housing, and a lot of inventories already started coming down. The housing price is already 20% down in a lot of places. Then it will become a big problem. I personally know I personally know a lot of people in some of the expensive areas in Bay Area and a lot of other Boston and stuff who were making a lot of money working in IT. Some of them were making like seven figures, more than $1 million. They bought like very expensive housing. And guess what? A lot of them actually lost their jobs. There is no way they can maintain their house more than 3 months. Even their like taxes on their houses are like $50,000-$60,000 a year. There is no way they can pay without those lucrative jobs they already lost, right? And they don't able to get that kind of pay anytime soon, maybe never, right? So guess what? Everybody is coming down, and with that, obviously, Salesforce is also part of the ecosystem. They'll also get affected. But as I said, all of these businesses, it's not gonna just finish everything. It's not gonna be the end of the world anytime soon. But it will slow down, which means that before a company, if they need 100 people, they will lay off 40 people and they'll try to work on 60 people because they will not get as much business as they used to get. So from 70,000, they already reduce 8,000 people. And there will be another round of layoff from Salesforce, which will be more from different departments. They have already kind of start giving the hints, but the same thing will happening with all of the other companies as well. Amazon, Facebook, I'm sure Google, Netflix laid off a lot of people. I don't think so any company will be, there's no possibility that any company will not lay off people in this economic crisis. And then everything will slow down. They don't need that many people because the business will have, obviously they have less business to take care of it. So they need less people to maintain it. So, so that is there, right? It's no doubt about it. It's going to be very, very tough times. But the thing is, people will still survive, right? And those people who have hard nerve and who have self-confidence, they will find a way to survive, and not only survive, but in some cases, a lot of people will thrive, because a lot of people and most of the people get a lot of depressed. They may not able to find job, and they keep trying the same thing that they keep trying for a long period of time. So unless if you're a smart person, and if something is not working, and if you're not trying some other things in parallel, you may start getting the same results. If, for example, let's say if somebody is applying for a job for like 6 months, 8 months and not getting a job, and they keep applying the exact same resume, exact same way, they might end up getting exact same results, because they're not innovative, they're not thinking outside the box, they're not changing anything. So for example, if something is not working for a certain period of time, whatever that is, you need to change your strategy, do something else, try to change your resume, try to reach out to people directly, try to do something else, try to even change a little bit of the area that you're applying, trying to do even something else, right? And the good thing is, the people who diversify themselves in different areas, for example, let's say if somebody lost a job and they wait, okay, once my severance will expire and then I'll think about doing something, then it's too late. You have to take actions before something goes wrong. So if somebody's on a job today, and if they're not thinking that what will happen if they lost their job, then it will be too late, because when they lost their job, then they're already depressed. They already have a lot of bills to pay. They're already in a state of mind where they cannot think through it. And then it will be a little bit more harder on them. But I know a lot of people who are still on a job, but they're still already thinking about what I'm going to do. Let me do something on a side. Let me do this. Let me learn something. Let me have this or that experience. Let me see if I can do something, anything, right? I mean, there are like millions of possibilities people can do. Uh, and you can do it even if it is non-technical, if it is something else, if it is, like a some other sort of business, whatever that is. What my point is, are you thinking, are you innovative, or are you just getting depressed that I'm not getting a job and what I'm going to do? You can cry all day long, it's not going to change anything unless you make some action. And the people who are very successful, one thing is very common among them is not necessarily they're lucky, not necessarily they're very smart, not necessarily they are very skillful. What really matters is how strong you are mentally, and how you are navigating through the problems, and how you're finding the ways, because nobody gonna come to you and just give you a paycheck. I mean, government did that already, and we're suffering for because of that. But not gonna every time that government will come in and pay your bills and things of the nature. You need to find what is what are the skills that you have, what are the areas you can explore, how I can make money, and how, even if it is a small money, just make it, right? Because that can increase over the period of time. And just to give you my example, when I first started my business, I was literally making $100 to $500 a month, right? And even less sometimes. Some months I don't make any money, but I never stop doing it. I just keep doing it, keep doing it. From one number, I make 2x, from there again 2x, 2x, 2x. So that's 2x over the period of time is how I build the company, and now I employ other people, right? But if I thought back then when I first started that, oh, I just make $100 a month, why would I even do that? I had a really good job. I was making a very decent amount of money, right? Why would I even do that? But then I have that mindset that you are not going to start making $1 million day one, right? But there will be a time when you make $1 million. But if you have that consistent mindset, you can. So it's all about the mindset. It's all about the approach. It's all about how mental tough you are and how you can navigate. And if you can do that, you can be successful in whatever you are doing. Salesforce is just a piece of it, right? I mean, as I told you, I was pretty successful in my telecommunication career, right? But then I thought I want to do something of my own. I want to get into a different area. I get bored out of it. I did not quit I did not laid off from my telecom job. I actually resigned, right? Which means that I take a deliberate action. I was not in reactive mode, I was in active mode. I spent about 8 months before I switched into Salesforce. I worked really hard. I'm not going to say it just come easy to me. I had a full-time job. I was working 8 to 10 hours a day. I have a family, I have other commitment, but on top of it, I spend about 20, 30 hours a week to learn Salesforce, to get certifications, to get volunteer work. When the best time, and people think that when you laid off and you don't have work, that's the best time. Honestly, that's the worst time, because at that point in time, you are not making money, you need to pay bills, and your head does not really work with you in order to learn new things. The best time is when you have like a job, even if it's a good or bad, but at least you have a paycheck, then you have like, at least you can able to pay your basic necessities. But then you can dedicate a portion of your mind in learning something new, and you're not worried about where I'm going to pay my next bill, right? So at least you have that mindset and you can do that. And if you are in a situation where you do not have any paycheck coming in, nothing, I don't think so that's a good time even to learn something, because that will take time and you don't want to wait like 6 months, 3 months, 12 months to actually wait and get your first paycheck. If anybody is laid off and they are looking for a job, I would personally, and again, this is just my opinion, I actually tell them not to look into new things. Just go back whatever you're good at and try to find at least the job, because you have experience, people, relationships. Just find a job, get a paycheck running, even it's a small paycheck, but at least it's a paycheck. Just get the paycheck running. And once you have that taken care of, that's the best time. But unfortunately, at that point in time, people just become lazy. They just become complacent. They're like, oh, I have a paycheck, I'm paying it. Let me just watch Netflix or just do whatever I want and just relax. Unfortunately, that's the time where you learn something new, because you're not under a pressure, under a gun of getting a job very quickly. Because for me, I was just kind of enjoying my journey to learn Salesforce back in the day, because I have a paycheck coming in, I have everything, but I just need to find time. So what I thought is maybe I spend a lot of time in watching TV or doing something else and whatnot. I just cut down on those things. Maybe I cut down a little bit on my sleep. And I said, okay, let me dedicate that time into learning something new. Then I dedicate that time into learning certification. Then I dedicate that time in doing my volunteer thing. And by the end of like 6 to 8 months, I have like certifications, I have volunteer experience, I have pretty much everything that I need to know. And within, I would say, less than a month, again, that time was really good as well. So I'm not going to compare different times, different things can happen, but pretty much literally under like a month or two, going through just a limited number of interviews, I was able to find my first job. And then I resigned from my previous job deliberately. And then I joined Salesforce, and then it works out pretty well for me for the past 5 years. All right, so with that, I'm a little bit over 5 minutes. So thank you, both of you, for joining, and other people who might listen to me later on. And just to let you know, times are tough. I know a lot of people are losing jobs. It's very tough for them, their families, and things like that. I definitely understand all the scenarios, but at the end of the day, is you who need to make a difference. It's you who need to stand up. It's not gonna work out by itself. Crying does not gonna help. Getting depressed not gonna help. What it really helps is to open different options for yourself, and no matter it's a small job, different areas, whatever you think you can do, let's do it and be passionate about it. What I learned, one thing in doing Salesforce, is I was so passionate that I was keep getting whatever I was trying to get. And that is something I did not know for, I would say, 20 years in my professional life. I was never passionate about what I was doing in telecom, and I never able to get a lot of success. I was able to be a very decent, I used to make a really good money, but I was never passionate about that career. And that's why I was never become on top of my game. I was very decent, and I was very successful, but not to a point where I can say that I achieved something and I fulfill me. But Salesforce is something which I deliberately pick up. It's not something that fall on my lap. I deliberately do that. I deliberately get in there. I research it. I look into a lot of other options, and then I decided I need to go Salesforce. Not just somebody recommended me. I did my own research. I look into a lot of different platforms. I decided deliberately why this is good and why this is good for me, right? Why do I feel like I am connected to Salesforce, and what I'm going to do in Salesforce in the next 5 years. So the day I started, I had in my mind that I need to open my own consulting down the road. It may take 6 months, it may take 6 years, I don't care. But this is my end goal, and I will learn. I was able to fortunate enough to work with some of the top Salesforce partners that are available in the market. And then I take step by step. I learn the ecosystem, I learn the platform, I learn sales, I learn marketing, I learn different platforms, I learn how to sell, I learn how to communicate, and then I learn how to build a team, I learn how to do. And now what I'm trying to do is I'm pretty much very comfortable about the delivery piece of it. We delivered 50 projects independently in almost just over a year. And now I'm expanding my like sales team that I need to sell. I need to find people who are passionate, because again, if you are just doing it for the purpose of doing it, you may not able to do it too well. But if I find like just 2 more people or 3 more people who are passionate about selling, then we can able to sell a lot of business together, and we can be very, very successful. So the success lies onto you, not on any platform. Not any platform is good or bad or whatever. It's up to you how good you are. If you are good, even in this worst scenario, a lot of people will make a lot of money, because it's not gonna, it's not everything is closing out, right? Is all the lot of business are still working. They may be working on a lower capacity. They may not be spending a same amount of money, but they're still spending. And if somebody can get that business, why cannot I can get that business, right? If somebody else can get that contract, why cannot I get that contract? I can get it. So with that, I'll close my call, and hope some of you guys can join, even if you are joining live with me or you're listening to it later on. The best way to connect with me is through LinkedIn. Just drop me a line on LinkedIn, say, hey, I'm interested in joining the sales executive positions with Unboxx. And I will be starting my next batch very, very soon. So if you're interested, go to my LinkedIn profile, drop me a liner, or you can send me an email at KALIK, my last name, first name Khurram, last name Ali, KLE at unboxx.io, unboxx.io. So either drop me an email or drop me a liner on my LinkedIn if you are coming through LinkedIn, and we'll communicate and I'll start my next batch. With that, thank you and have a good rest of your weekend.
Thank you so much, Karam. Have a good rest of your Sunday. We
Mhm.
talk to you soon. Bye.